All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we did not have a game this weekend. Obviously, Georgia was on a bye. So I decided, set over and mulled over what I was going to do this week for a film study. Obviously, still going to have to come up with some creative ideas as far as tomorrow night's show on Tuesday. But for tonight, I'm going to take a viewer suggestion over there on the Patreon account. Someone said, hey, why don't you show us the differences between what Monken's doing this year and what Coley was doing last year? I know you got some great all 22 tapes, so just show us some of that stuff, the intricate, changes that Georgia's made on offense with their new offensive coordinator. So that's what I'm going to do. Just a brief synopsis of some of the things that I found. Went back and watched 3 or 4 games briefly. Didn't watch them opening snap to closing whistle, as we like to say here. But just based off the top, I'll tell you right now, in 2019, under James Coley as offensive coordinator, looked like 2-by-2 formations were something they really liked, whether that was in a bunch formation or that was spread out, 2 guys to the left, 2 guys to the right. Whether there was a variation of a tight end being one of those 2 split out individuals, they liked 2-by-2 sets. They were primarily an 11 personnel package for most of the year. Now, when you go back and run the end of year statistics on personnel packaging, that 12 personnel creeped in a lot more once Lawrence Cager went down. They were extremely 12 personnel heavy against, Georgia Tech, LSU, and Baylor, and it really skewed their offensive statistics in terms of personnel packaging. But ideally, and his base formation, it appeared to me, was 11 personnel, 2-by-2, real tight spacing on a lot of this stuff you're going to see tonight. Something that I'm not really fond of. I don't like doing it like that. I just think you're getting bigger bodies in confined spaces. But I did think Coley did some great things in terms of misdirection with those types of formations and sneaking guys in and out of the formation as well. I'll tell you this though, he asked guys to win on one-on-one routes a lot. Right? Didn't really. The schematics and the way routes rubbed each other and were countered off of each other weren't really doing a lot of beneficial things for these wide receivers. Granted, they didn't have a lot of good wide receivers last year either. So thought he asked his quarterback to do some things that, I wouldn't be doing. And we'll talk through those as well. You got to know what your quarterback's good and not good at. If you'll notice, Monken, in the limited time we saw him with Dwan Mathis and now with Stetson Bennett, it seemed like he had 2 totally different offensive game plans designed for each quarterback. That's what good offensive coordinators do. And now under 2020 or in 2020 under Monken, you're gonna notice they're 3-by-1. They love getting in 3-by-1 personnel sets. A lot of 12 personnel. I think against Auburn, they were probably 50% 12 personnel. Really thought they could run the football against Auburn. The spread and the spacing of the wide receivers looks a lot cleaner and a lot better. If they are in bunched situations in 2020 under Monken, there's an exact reason as to why. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. What we're going to do tonight is, look, neither of these guys reinvented the wheel of offense in terms of what they were doing schematically. There's minor changes in what they're doing. And to me, that's what makes a great offensive coordinator. Everyone needs great players. Every coach in this world will tell you what's the biggest weapon you can have. Well, the biggest weapon you can have is weapons. My dad always used to say, it's the Jimmies and the Joes, not the X's and the O's. So the Jimmies and the Joes this year, at least wide receivers wise, looks a lot better for Georgia. Up front, not so much. Looked much better last year in terms of just the guys. Was the schematics better? I don't know. Something we're going to take a look at again tonight in terms of offensive line play and wide receiver play. You guys know I like to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you that the plays they're running are almost identical. They're doing the same stuff. How they're doing it, how they're getting to these plays, totally different. And that is the evidence of a really good and really different offensive coordinator. Finding ways to build things off of, a previous thing that you've been hitting all game and figuring out ways to find mismatches and manipulate defenses that you're facing on Saturday. So let's hop right into it. What I'm going to take you to first is this is the very first play of the Auburn game in Auburn last year. Obviously, Coley, the offensive coordinator. Now, what they're going to do here is they're trying to run inside zone this way. And what they're going to do is they're just going to outside arc release this tight end and tackle. Now, it opens this big void where Jake Fromm's supposed to be reading the backside, I would imagine. I wouldn't I wouldn't imagine you're doing this arc release stuff unless you had a run built in off of it. Now, what you're going to see is it just gets hammered front side. I mean, absolutely hammered. Cade Mays does an absolute whiff job on the front side over here. Okay. I don't know what this is from 77. He's going to whiff on one of the best players in college football in 2019 in Derek Brown, and it's going to get absolutely shut off front side. But what you'll see is backside, there was a massive opportunity for a keep where Jake Fromm's one-on-one with the safety. Now, if I had one question to ask this offensive coordinator from last year and James Coley, it's how limited was Jake Fromm in terms of his willingness to run, and how much did that hinder your run process? That would be the number one thing I would ask, because constantly over and over and over and over again, they've got great play design. They've got an out for this play, and it's Jake Fromm keeping this football out the back with being one-on-one with the safety instead of just cramming it down the throat over here front side, but they don't choose to do it. Okay, so that would be my one question. And one thing you're going to notice tonight, guys, is I wasn't around doing this kind of stuff last year. You're going to notice DeAndre Swift was something special, man. Over and over and over again, he's going to take a 4-yard loss and turn it into a 4-yard gain. Somehow, some way. I mean, he's a magician, guys. He really is something special. Now, let's take you to the Auburn game from this year. Okay, same exact play design. Not same exact play design, same play intentions. They're trying to do the same thing, which is just not block the backside in. That's all they're trying to do. We're going to 207. Okay, so all they're trying to do is create a arc release out here and open up a void in the backside C gap. Now, the difference is instead of doing it out of 2x2, Monken says, we're going to get in 12 personnel. We're going to get in pounded down your throat personnel. We got big Darnell Washington in there. We got big John Fitzpatrick in there. And we're going to run straight at your face while giving you a little bit of dash and trying to get you that, arc release motion or reverse motion to pull linebackers just a smidge. Just get them to move left just a little bit. And that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to run jet motion and snap the ball and hand it off in straight inside zone form to Zamir White. Now, 4-yard gain's a 4-yard gain. Yeah, maybe. Later on in the game, you'll see that this play breaks big for Georgia. It's the same exact thing. They're just sending jet motion, and they're just arc releasing. Now, the last clip we showed you, this was Andrew Wilson arc releasing, and the guy following behind him was John Fitzpatrick. Or excuse me, was Charlie Warner or Eli Wolf, one of the 2 tight ends from last year. Instead, they leave a front side tight end at the front of the point of the attack. They get good combos. They get up to their secondary line or their secondary blocks. Ben Cleveland's getting a hat on a hat. Warren McClendon's getting a hat on a hat. And boom, we're one-on-one with the linebacker and getting 4.5, 5, grinding to a 5-yard gain, okay? Small, subtle differences in these two offenses. But to me, you're asking guys that are used to blocking in space, blocking in space. We're going to 236 on the Auburn clip from last year. Guys, I'm juggling a lot of junk here, so if things get a little hairy, you know why. All right, here we go. So what they're trying to do here is they're just trying to run jet sweep. To me, let's watch it from the high angle. Gotta love all 22 tape, guys. They're trying to run jet sweep. Again, out of twins, they're trying to get into doubles formation. This is doubles bunch. I would call this twins bunch left indicating which way the tight end's going, right? That's how you call offensive plays. This would be twins bunch left, jet Z, Demetrius sweep, or jet Z wide receiver sweep. That's all it is. That's how I would call it. It's probably called something totally different. There's the jet motion. They're going to hand it off and get it right to Demetrius. Again, a very similar play, right? Look, Georgia does this now. We just showed you the last clip, except they did it out of a different formation, and they handed the ball off on the inside zone top side with a tight end over there. Now they're getting it and handing the jet that they just faked to Jermaine Burton in 2020. So not a ton of differences so far to open, but the spacing's totally different, right? On the last clip we showed you, they had trips bunch on the right with a tight end on the backside to the left. Just a different way to skin a cat each and every way, right? So this is how jet sweep was ran last year. And they did this a lot. Here's the deal. Another question I would have for Coach Coley. Every time there was motion, it seemed like there was a reason for motion. And it was to either get them the ball or fake this jet sweep mesh kind of thing to pull defenders type stuff. I rarely saw Monken running wide receivers across the formation to pull a safety, like we've shown you with Todd Monken, and we will show you with Todd Monken, to open up voids. I rarely saw that. Okay. If they were sending James Cook in motion, by God, he was getting the football in a jet sweep. If they sent Demetrius Robinson in motion like this, by God, he was probably getting the ball on a jet sweep. Now, how does Georgia? Let's watch it from the tight. And I'll show you exactly how Georgia runs jet sweep this year. There's that 2-by-2. Man, they ran this probably 20 times against Auburn last year. This twins bunch look. Jet sweep with Demetrius just getting out on the edge. Arc releasing out on the end. Charlie Warner gets a great block. So on Simmons. One-on-one with the safety. Great play design, 5, 6, 7 yards. Okay. Let's go to 1246 on the Auburn clips from this year. So that's how they ran jet sweep last year. They do a little bit of it this year. How do they run it this year in jet sweep? Well, this is how they do it. They get into 12 personnel, heavy 12 personnel. Darnell Washington at the top. John Fitzpatrick now in the formation. Jermaine Burton real tight. So the last clip we showed you, they went 2-by-2, sent one of the guys in Demetrius Robinson from the 2 receiver side, dropped it to a 3-by-1 with motion, right? Just ran jet sweep this way. Now they're going to start in 3-by-1 with George Pickens back here by himself. And so not only do we have an additional blocker front side with an additional tight end, guess what we're going to do with our running back? We're going to put his butt into action on the front side too. Whereas last time, we were just kind of faking the run. We're going to get a little toss sweep action. Excuse me. We're going to get a little toss sweep action to one of our best athletes and put him out in space with one of our other best athletes out in space blocking with him. Whereas last time, we just had 2 guys out in space blocking one-on-one. Now we've got 3 to pick up that one-on-one with the corner or one-on-one with the safety. And if we execute blocks, this could be a very, very big play. Fitz lets his guy get top side on him. Let's slow it down. I know you guys like these slowdowns. Fitz lets his guy get top side on him, and that's it over with. That's end of the play right there. Once that happens, once Kenny Britt is on his play side shoulder, play over with. I mean, in the sense that it's not breaking for a touchdown, right? It's just going for 7 yards. Again, 2 equally explosive, equally efficient football plays, right? We're starting off showing you how there's, 2 ways to skin a cat. Which way is better? I don't know. To me, I would like it this way for multiple reasons. We've got much more space out here to use. We've got an additional blocker. One of our additional blockers is a 6'7", 265-pound tight end that's used to blocking in Darnell Washington. At least at this point, he's used to blocking.